2025년 국제우주산업 콘퍼런스가 글로벌 우주 항공 수도 경남 공존과 성장의 미래를 열다 경상남도 진주시 사천시 한국우주기술진흥협회 제 경남 테크노파크 많은 시청 바랍니다. 구독과 좋아요는 큰 힘이 됩니다.
홍상 전문가입니다. 오늘 발표 주제는 호주의 우주개발계획과 스타트업 입석 정책입니다.
안녕하십니까. vivien입니다. I hope you all had a lovely lunch. For those who haven't heard my earlier speech, I'm the Minister Councillor for Commercial at the Australian Embassy in Seoul. Organization called the Australian Trade and Investment Commission, or Austrade, and Austrade is the Australian government's international trade promotion and investment attraction agency. We connect businesses with offices in over 60 countries, now sitting at over 814 companies worth $8 billion and employ over 19,595 people. Approximately $1.1 billion in public and private sector funding invested in Australian space organizations. A recent example is the spacecraft announced at $120 million. Australia offered space-focused grants and support, and I will touch on some of these later in my presentation. The economic benefits are endless as Australia returned to a commercial site in February 2025 with the return of the W2 Vada space capsule, pictured here, housing in-space manufactured pharmaceuticals. V3 returned earlier this month to Southern launch. As you can see from these subsector breakdowns, Australia has strengths in the leapfrog technologies areas and Earth observation, in addition to access to space situational awareness and robotics. Austrade published a snapshot of research and development space capabilities across Australian universities in collaboration with industry. There are over 100 projects featured, and we'll be happy to share a copy of this. The Australian Space Industry Capability Database was developed by the Space Industry Association Australia. The database will provide interactive data and visualizations that demonstrate the scale and capability of the Australian space sector, including capability information, workforce data, and detailed company profiles. Our downstream services include communication technologies, Earth observation and positioning, navigation and timing. Under communications technologies and services, Australia designs, manufactures, implements and maintains communication systems in areas such as ground system, RF, HF, KA and X-band, as well as electromagnetic spectrum and VHR for space-based air traffic management systems. Companies include First Nation-owned businesses. Earth observation, an example of Earth observation data companies in Australia that has strengthened environmental data such as hyperspectral and mapping and planning. Position and navigation and timing, Australian companies provide IoT platforms for remote asset management, for example, or real-time mapping and navigation. Space situational awareness is also our strength. Space situational companies operate fully automated SDA systems, interoperable with US SSN networks of ground-based path array radars for LEO, non-Earth imaging, or to image other satellites and space objects, mission control, passive ultra-wide field of view detection, and ramming, and neuromorphic sensing technology and operation. These are all such a mouthful. Robotics and automation, modular robotic arms, AI systems, space-based roadside assist, orbital transfer vehicles, and then of course our leapfrog R&D, underwater VR simulation technology for astronaut training, nano-satellite buses, high-performance computing manufacturers of solid rockets, and novel food technologies for plants in space, such as the Plants for Space Cooperative Research Centre. This demonstrates the Australian spaceport ecosystem. Blue dots represent licensed and established spaceports. Southern Launch is represented by both the gold and blue dots at the bottom of Australia. BARDA, the US in-space pharmaceutical manufacturer, returned to Kuniba test range. The gold dot is where it is. Wireless Wave now has environmentally approval where Perigi Aerospace has a partnership with Southern Launch to launch its Blue Web. The purple dot also represents a licensed spaceport, Bowen Optical Spaceport. Space is about more than just the destination. The journey to launch is just as valuable, and getting to the launch pad in itself is successful. The skills developed in the design and construction of an Australian rocket satellite, the payload, confidence gained, the lessons learned, our entire space ecosystem, as well as the advanced manufacturing and critical technologies that underpin it all is just as valuable. Launch opens the full value chain of space activities, and there is a long list of Australian companies now part of the space supply chain. These extend well beyond space companies in their purest sense into manufacturing, engineering, critical technologies, construction, infrastructure, and more. Equatorial Launch Australia has launched NASA sounding rockets and is in the process of relocating the spaceport to the top of Queensland, still remaining is an equatorial location. Innospace has a multi-launch contract with ELA. The red dots are spaceports in concept phase. So as you can see, Australia has much aspirations to be the launch pad for the world. Some Australian government grants include Department of Industry, Science and Resources Moon to Mars Supply Chain Capability Grants. We will call the Department of Industry, Science and Resources DISA. So DISA Space Congress Program, DISA R&D Initiatives, incentives, and then of course we have the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization, or the CSIRO's Kickstart program. So over here you can see the soft landing zones are space industry hubs and clusters to support individuals or companies to establish a presence in Australia. As you can see, there is a large selection of these startup hubs in Australia across all states and territories. Australia will host the 2025 International Astronautical Congress, IAC, in Sydney this year. Upcoming Australian space conferences include the 8th Australian Space Forum on July 15 to 16 in Adelaide. The 2025 IAC theme is Sustainable Space, Resilient Earth, which covers space-based application for Earth, sustainable space activities, and sustaining lift-off Earth. Across space and naval industries, as per every IAC, we have a very strong academic program, but this year we are excited to incorporate a strong commercial element, including for the first time, inviting space-enabled industries into the program. Indo-Pacific, given only 5 out of 75 IACs to date have been hosted in the Southern Hemisphere, IAC 2025 provides a unique opportunity to showcase the Indo-Pacific region and Australia's space industries, including above all of First Nation Australians who are recognized as the world's earliest astronomers. And then of course there's Festival of Space. IAC 2025 will also incorporate a Festival of Space for all attendees and the Australian public. Our IAC 2025 Sydney mascot, the kangaroo moth, has proven to be very popular to date. Australian Space Agency also designed the mission patch. 38 plenaries and 6 highlight lectures were received. We submitted a host plenary on the power of First Nation cultural and scientific knowledge to shape a sustainable global space sector. Plus, we received over 6,000 abstracts from 103 countries. Please register, you can still go. So thank you. We look forward to seeing you at the IAC in Sydney 2025. 감사합니다.